earlier. And we started these meetings at the Pahoa Community Center on August 24th. That's when we started our weekly meetings. So really all of you have been there since that time. So we're going to continue it as long as we need to and as long as we have information to share. Okay? So before we start, I want to call Debbie Isabel. She's going to come up and do a quick pooling for us.
Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we come together tonight as a community of Pahoa, to gather information, stay informed, and make sure that we make the right decisions. We ask your guidance to be upon those that are presenting tonight, that they may be able to provide us with information that will help us make the decisions that we need to be made. Bless those that don't really understand what's going on, soften their hearts and help them to be open-minded and get a good understanding of what's happening. Be with our kupuna and help them as well, provide a way for them that they may be kept safe. Keep us all safe from harm and danger, and help us to continue to work together as a community. We humbly ask for thy blessings also upon those that are in the positions to make big decisions for us, that they may always be blessed with the guidance and the knowledge to keep us and our safety at the forefront. We humbly ask these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Mahalo, Debbie. Okay, I'm just going to go around the room again, as we usually do, and let you know who's here. We have some new people here. We have representatives from Hawaiian Volcanoes National Park. If you have any questions about the chain of crater roads, you can go there. We also have the Southern Baptist Disaster Relief Team. We have Department of Health. We have Red Cross, University of Hawaii, HCC. We have Bay Clinic. We have Martin with Optimum Stress Management. If you feel you want to talk to someone, he's back there. We have our firefighters, police and fire back there, USGS. We have Mass Transit, HELCO, Environmental Management, Department of Health, DOE, and Department of Public Works. So we're going to go ahead with our same format. Thank you everyone for all your continued coming together here and giving us the time to share. I would now like to call up USGS.
My name is Frank Truesdell. I'm a geologist at the Hawaiian Volcanoes Observatory. As you've probably seen, with all of the efforts put forth by the USGS, that it's a wide community of individuals that are working on behalf to monitor the lava flows. So I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues in the back. In the far right over there is Kevin. In the middle back here is Janet Babb. Next to her is Jeff Sutton. Over here to the left is Kyle. And over here to the far side is Steve Brantley. So all of us are the USGS and the Hawaiian Volcanoes Observatory. So I'm going to give a brief eruption update to kind of let you know how things have been going most recently. Okay, so for today's update, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of summarize what's going on. There's a narrow fold front that's advancing towards Pahoa Village Road. As of this afternoon, it's about 160 yards away. And the overall, there's been no change in the eruption rate from Pu'uo'o. Pahoa is still in the downhill path. And as you've noticed from the eruption updates, the flow is moving at variable rates. Sometimes it stalls and sometimes it moves more quickly. But as I'll show later, this is sort of the normal emplacement pattern for Pahoa lava. Okay, so a broad overview of what's going on is that up here is the Puna vent, and most of the flows from the prior period are shown here in gray. And then we have this finger of lava, and it feeds overland, and then goes into the crack system that everybody is now aware of. And then it comes out of the crack as surface flows and heads down here. And this is the distal tip of that lava flow. So there's a tube system at the base of Puna, and you can see it in yellow, those in the front. Goes all the way down here, and when it emerges from the crack, there's a primordial tube that has been developing in that flow that comes from the crack. Okay, so now we're looking at just from the crack system down to the distal flow front. You can see that tube system has developed. Down here it isn't as well developed, so we haven't been able to identify it with a great deal of confidence. And yet when the flows come down here, what we're looking at is that this upper reaches of the flow continues to expand and continues to increase in height. The area down here, the distal tip, has been confined by topography, and that topography thus makes the flow appear to be, keeps it in a very narrow drainage system. And so because it's confined, it's very narrow and it's moving down here. Now there are several places where it's not as well defined, constrained. For example, right above Pahoa is a pasture, and so the flow has a chance to spread out. Down here is where the cemetery is. There's another little pasture, and the flow continues to spread there. But below that, the flows are pretty much constrained by topography and staying very narrow, and the flow is moving down. Now we're looking at an aerial photograph of the recent activity down at the flow tip. So down here is Pahoa Village Road. Here's Pahoa. And what I've circled here are the areas that have been active in the last day or so, okay? So here's the flow front. The flow front is basically about 5 meters wide. Just upslope from the flow front, we're looking at about 100 meters wide. And then up here in this area, just below the cemetery, the flow continues to expand in a northerly direction. A lot of people have been hearing about a finger of lava flow going towards the transfer station, the dump. And this flow has moved within about 60 meters of this Pahoa, or the Pahoa or the dump road. Okay? So here's another view from the helicopter showing this area down here is the Pahoa Village Road. Here's the distal tip of the lava flow. You can see it's fairly well constrained. Right at the very tip, it's very narrow. And just upslope of that, the flow is expanding. Okay? The area that's a hot spot by the cemetery is just off the view right in here. We'll see a thermal image. The thermal image then tells you where the hotbed of activity has been in the recent past. So this area would be up by the cemetery. And down here is the flow front. And this photo is from a couple days ago. Looking at the area in the vicinity of the transfer station, this flow is burning its way slowly in this direction towards, but has not reached the road as of yet. Okay, so the typical behavior of Pahoa lava is people are really anxious. They expect us to give you a forecast and say, oh, the lava flow is going to reach a certain area by a certain time. And that's great if the actual flow rate was steady and constant. And that's not how Pahoa grows. So we'll look at a series of slides to kind of help you understand the process of what's actually going on. Okay, so here's a typical Pahoa lobe. And it comes out, and it's typically less than 3 feet thick initially. And so it flows out of the ground, out of it comes down and flows out of an existing flow, and it advances across the ground. And at some point, the supply to that, as it flows over the ground, because it's moving out faster than the supply, the front of that flow chills, and then the flow stagnates. And so there's a period of time where that flow just stalls. And while it's stalling, magma is supplied into the flow, and yet there isn't enough strength to break the front of the flow open, so it grows vertically. And so it inflates. And after that period of inflation, then there's enough pressure within the flow, then you get new breakouts. And so then it moves forward again. So we're getting this activity where you hear, oh, the flow is not moving. Oh, the flow is moving. Make up your mind. We'll tell them how to flow that, because we're just reporting exactly what we see, right? The flow moves, it stalls, it inflates, and then it moves again. And that's what we're dealing with. That's the reality, okay? So upslope, behind the flow, we're talking about an area that's up by Pahoa Street. We're looking at the flow continues to expand. So lava keeps coming down the tube system. Not all of the lava is being sent to the front. It's expanding that area above Pahoa. And some places, the flows are 500 meters wide, not 5 meters, 500 meters wide. Okay, and the flows continue to inflate. Now look at this. I showed you a lava flow that was only about knee high or so. And that flow continues to grow. And eventually when it inflates like this, some portion of that flow will develop into what we call the tube system. And until it gets organized and a particular area within the flow becomes the conduit, it's not a lava tube yet. Okay, so I just want to reinforce that not only the activity is down here at the distal tip, but we have expansion of this flow field above Pahoa and all the way up to this area in the crack. So there's lots of expansion and vertical growth of the lava flow field. Okay, so here's a thermal image of that same general area. All of these warm colors that you see in here are flows that are occurring on top of the pre-existing flow. You have flows that are pushing out, expanding the flow field as well. Okay? So what's driving the behavior of this Pahoa kind of flow field? Well, the factors that control the lava advance include what's the slope of the land? What's the robustness of the lava tube? And essentially, what's the supply rate of lava to the front? Okay, so currently we can say some things about some of these elements. Basically, there's no real change in the eruption rate. I've told you that the lava tube is starting to develop in the portion of the tube once it comes out of the crack. And that the distal end, for now, is constrained or confined by topography. So upslope, how do you know that the lava supply is steady? Well, upslope, we have this lava tube, and so we have a means by which we measure across the tube, and from that we can get the dimension of the lava tube. And then we sit over here with a radar gun, and we shoot it down onto the lava flow and we get a speed. So now we know an area, and we know the speed, and then we can estimate the volume, the daily volume. So we've been tracking this, and it's been steady, okay? The other thing that we have done is everybody has come familiar, my colleagues have talked about this extensively in other talks, but I'll just talk about it briefly. Basically, this is the tilt meter, which is basically a manometer or a sensitive instrument that looks at how much magma is being supplied to the summit of the volcano. And it was going up, and just as of early today, it has turned down to a slight deflationary event. So this means more lava is being supplied, and then less lava is being supplied. So a downward tilt is less magma, increase in supply, decrease. But so far, these, at least on the recent past, these haven't been very large changes as of yet. Okay? So what's in store? What can we expect? Well, we can expect that the flow rates are going to be uncertain. It's in stock. This is a given, right? They're going to be uncertain. And, well, is there small pieces of topography in there? We have those blue lines on the map, right? Those are our best guess given the best data we have. And yet, there are things in the bushes that the original data set did not see. And so they can cause perturbations in where the flow is going to go, okay? And those blue lines are only good for the first pass. First lava flow comes down, it occupies the blue line. The next lava flow that breaks off of Malco is going to see that lava flow and hit it and go parallel to it, or maybe be shunted in a different direction, okay? All right, the supply to the flow front. So we have a good idea of what the magma supply is, but all along from that tube that's near Pahoa, all the way down to the distal tip, we have inflation, we have expansion of the flow field, and when the flows inflate, they act as a reservoir. So we can't be certain that every single bit that we account for right there at the tube is actually going to appear at the front. Okay. So, the things you can be sure of is that we will continue with CD to monitor and have overflights of the activity. We are on the ground with civil defense every day, every evening, every morning. This is why we're here. This is why we get paid. We want to be out there tracking the flows on your behalf. And then go to the HVO. Updates on ours and the CD website. Okay, so just to recap what's been happening as of recent. It's a narrow flow advancing towards the government road. There's no significant change in the eruption rate. Pahoa is still downhill from the flow. And you can expect us to say that the lava is going to move from 0 to 10 yards a day for the next conceivable future because of the way Pahoa fields develop. Okay? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. Just checking to see if Chief Oliveira is here. Sorry, he's parking. Just a couple of minutes, given right out of the rain. Here he is. So now we'll hear from Chief Darryl Oliveira.
So good evening, everyone, and again, thank you for always the opportunity to meet with you folks and share some things. So let me catch my breath. I was running. But anyway, I just want to apologize. You know, I put you folks through some challenges in the last few weeks, restricting access on the roads. allowing the media in if you took them in, and then changing that and saying no one in except just the residents. And really, I just want you to know, we put the residents first and foremost, safety-wise, as well as, you know, the respect for your privacy and your property. Those people that want to see the eruption and see the lava, we recognize that this is a very historical event. It's a very, I guess, unique natural phenomenon. There will be time for people to see the lava. Right now it's in residential areas, it's in people's backyards. It's threatening homes, and we like to, again, keep everyone safe and, again, provide for some respect and privacy for those that are still preparing for evacuation. Currently, I'm assuming, I apologize, I walked in late. You folks did a presentation, HVO. Thanks. Again, I gotta say thank you to them, HVO. The one thing we can assure you is, please rest at night. We're watching it. You don't have to stay up and worry that you won't know if it's coming, because we're on the ground. They're on the ground, walking around the flow, around the clock. Their team does not take a break. They're out on the flow, watching it 24 hours. We go out there, we check on it, we're working together very closely, so you can go to bed at night knowing that if something changes, we will let you know. We've also been sending our community emergency response teams door to door. We apologize if we maybe bombarded you over the last three nights, or 3 or 4 nights, but we wanted to make sure everybody knew what was happening, that we're not forcing any evacuation. We want everybody to be aware where the flow is at, how far away it is, how fast it's moving, and then we will give you more than adequate time, as we've always told you, about possible evacuation. We're also looking for any hazardous materials. I know there was concerns about the tires that were burning on that one property. That gentleman has been working very hard to move everything he can out of the way. Currently, it's only vegetation that's burning, just the grass on his property. So there's no hazards there. We're also looking at other properties downslope. Some of you that were approached by the CERT teams as they came door to door, you were probably asked, are you aware of any hazardous materials on your property or your neighbor's property? So we're working closely with the Department of Health and our Office of Department of Environmental Management to remove any hazardous materials that could be a problem if it's in contact with the lava and should be ignited. So we're trying to do everything we can to clean things up. I'm not sure, at this point, again, I apologize, it ran in, but again, the most important thing is I'm sorry if we've been upsetting your lives with some of these changes. We're going to maintain the restricted access that's to provide for your, again, safety, security, privacy, as well as to ensure the safety of our first responders who may need to come in and assist if something happens. So that's where we're holding the line, and need everybody's assistance and cooperation with that. And again, I appreciate everybody's patience and understanding with everything. This is a very life-changing event that we're all seeing, trying to make it as easy on this community as possible. You've been through a lot in the last few months, and it's going to be difficult if this thing continues with some of the road impacts, but together we can make things work. So again, I appreciate all your help, and may the Mayor will sit through it.
Thanks, Carol. Anybody lives in a village, you guys got an extra bed, I'd like to get your phone number so I can get Daryl some sleep. Yes. It's been wonderful around the clock. Thank you so much, Daryl. Your leadership, USGS, what can you say? Every day, 3 people monitoring and hiking through very challenging vegetation and very difficult, dangerous terrain. And it's, you know, sometimes unsettling and alarming when you go to look at the floor and you get a couple guys pop out of the bushes. And it's just amazing that they're that committed to providing us very accurate, very important, very timely information. I want to have a round of applause for our community emergency response teams. I know I've seen some of them do knuckles and high fives earlier. You guys, we're with you. We had a couple nights ago at 10 p.m., 9, 10 later. Here are community volunteers all putting on their vests, getting instructions, knocking on doors, going house to house, keeping their friends, their neighbors, their community members safe, and all from the heart with aloha volunteering. So thanks you guys. Really appreciate it. go through a couple more thank yous. We just came out of a meeting with State Department of Transportation. Thanks you guys for your partnership and teamwork and working together on our access. To our congressional delegation, some of you know we had Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard walking the streets of Pahoa yesterday. U.S. Senator Schatz is texting, "Hey Bill, you need anything?" We've got General Vern Miyagi working with us on our FEMA applications, and we're making sure that everybody dotting I's, crossing T's. I want to thank the state. As some of you know, Lieutenant Governor Shan Satsui came over, helped us expedite chain of craters through an executive order. The National Guard today has put 80 National Guard members on the ground here in Puna. We've got about 20 per shift, helping our police department, patrolling the communities, keeping everybody calm, keeping everybody safe. So everybody pitching in, everybody helping out, all of our agencies around the room, thanks you guys. As Darryl said, this has been extremely challenging on everybody. I'd like to also say, you know, we talk about it every day. Just want to assure everybody, when we make decisions, we sit down and we talk about it, think about it, take a break, talk about it some more. We know that people want to see the flow. And we know that we want people to see it. It's a very powerful, incredible, unbelievable experience to witness. From none of us from Kalapana, you know, we grew up with it, we've seen it for years. I see it again and I just forget. Sometimes you forget just how powerful, how much force, how humbling witnessing that is. You know, so we're talking about at what point is it safe? At what point can we allow visitation, so media, but most importantly residents, our children who have been impacted by this flow, they can see it, understand it. You know, so we're in constant conversation about that. Part of it is, yeah, let them see them. The next part is, you know, as we had the challenges that we committed to all of you for uninterrupted service, and for anybody who's been in Pahoa, Oceanic, Hawaiian Tel, Helco, all day, every day, working trucks on the road. I'm most thankful that we had secured, you know, the village road. So I just want to let you guys know it's not an easy decision. Every decision needs to be balanced. I know sometimes people aren't always, you know, going to be happy. But just please know that we're making the decision in the best interest of everybody, and main thing, keeping everybody safe. As we know, as you so correctly pointed out, Mr. Truesdale pointed out that that frustration that comes with, you know, different rates of advancement, different pressure. You know, when our chain of craters has been moving construction very well. A lot of work going on, a lot of work happening. We anticipate construction to be completed in a couple weeks. You guys shake your head no, it's so wrong. Sometimes I just say that and then they gotta do it because I already said them. They all walk outside, but don't let the man talk, bro. He's making timelines up. Now we gotta do it when he said we was gonna do it. But that's our concern. It's just making sure, you know, even we all learning as we go. You know, there's no lava inundation manual. But we're listening, and no worry, you guys. When you guys get good ideas, we're listening. Because some of the best ideas is from the most common sense ideas. Sometimes you know too much. It's kind of one hindrance instead of one help. But know that every step, I mean, for example, Helco and Alliance folks, what they've done to insulate and protect their poles, never been done before. So everything we do, we learn. Maybe do a little more of that. Ooh, maybe don't do that anymore. And so we humbly ask for your patience. If we recognize that a decision was made that maybe in hindsight wasn't the best, you know, I'll take responsibility and we'll make a better decision. that better helps our community. So, but know that we're here every day in Pahoa, every agency, everybody, we're here. We'll continue to be here around the clock. If anybody has questions, as Darryl said, gonna be tough and we're not quite sure how long. So when you can, please get you guys rest. Please talk with our children, grandchildren, family, friends. The more we talk about it, the more we know, the more we share, the more comfortable we become with the situation we're facing. And so with all of that going on, thank you guys from the bottom of our heart for all of your patience, for all of your love, and for all of your aloha. Mahalo. Oh, how about a round of applause, you guys? Very loud. Thank you, Mary. Mahalo. So I guess all the agencies will be available. I'll be here, Chief will be here, we'll all be here. National Park, Red Cross, Southern Baptist, HCC, UH, Police, Fire, Environmental Management, Transportation, and us. God bless everybody. Travel safe and be safe tomorrow night. Aloha.